Yeah.
Looking ahead a year, last year 3 congressional districts flipped from Republican to Democrat. Now we can exclude the 11th because that's probably going to stay in Democratic hands, but the 2nd and the 5th are drawn to be heavily Republican. And specifically, I wonder in the 5th whether you think Virgil Goode will have a comeback, or would it be smarter for the Republicans to run new blood who's temperamentally more like Tom Perriello in order to win that seat back?
That's another great question that I don't have a good answer to, but let me just, I'll begin with this. Virgil's been a friend of mine for a long, long time. He married a student of mine. So I know Virgil, and I know Lucy, and I was surprised that Virgil even got beat still. I mean, and it was a perfect storm against him in some fashion. But having said that, I think Perriello is not going to be an easy person to defeat, even in a lower turnout election. You're going to have to work very, very hard, because I look at this guy and I just think he works hard every day to keep his seat. If you take a look at him now, 5 or 6 meetings in his district, talking about the economic crisis, talking about how to bring jobs to Danville and Martinville, these places that have just been devastated. This guy looks to me like he's really intent on working very hard, working the grassroots, being someone who can serve his known to serve his constituents, even if part of the electorate doesn't agree with his overall ideological viewpoint. So I think it's easiest to turn to Virgil because he already has a network. He's won. He's very well known in the district. But if Virgil wants to take this seat back, it's going to take an effort that goes beyond just hoping that the turnout's a little lower. Because I think this is one of those people that when you look at him is totally dedicated and is one heck of a candidate. So my sense is that this is going to be a target of opportunity for the Republicans nationally. Because here's the point. If you don't beat Perriello now,
you're stuck with him.
You're not going to beat him. Because there's no reason to think that he's not going to be a Rick Boucher type who works his district extraordinarily well. So my thinking is that it's really, but if it's not Virgil, you have to have a candidate, and you have to have that candidate working pretty hard pretty soon. So my guess is that Virgil looks to be, because he's been there, he's an institution and part of the district, the kind of person that the party would turn to. But I would just say that to me is going to be is even more difficult to think about a comeback in than the 2nd right now, because I think this is a guy who really looks to me as a very, very impressive kind of person. If you take a look at how often he's back home, and he's back home working that district all the time, far more than some other people are. So I've been impressed with him since I've seen him.
How do you see the House of Delegate races? Just do you have a generic ballpark?
I think it's a real uphill climb for the Democrats on this front. I can see, the Democrats obviously are going to target a set of seats in Northern Virginia, right? And they may pick up some of them. Republicans seem to me to really be targeting, more than anything else, that one place where young people registered in huge numbers on the conservative side, which was where? Lynchburg, right? They got Shannon Valentine sitting in that seat with 3,000 new registrants in the Liberty University precinct on that side. So they're going to try to get the Liberty kids involved in state politics. We'll see if that's successful, but that's there. I think what the Democrats are going to have to do if they win, they're going to have to do more than Northern Virginia, and in particular, they're going to go after 2 seats. They're going to go after Danny Marshall's seat in Martinville. There's going to be rural seats that if the Democrats win that they're going to capture, and they're trying to get the seat that Clark Hogan gave up. Those seem to me, in talking to Democrats, 2 of their real targets right now. Those 2 seats may be combined with them, and then they have to hang on everywhere else. So you hate to say people can't run the table, because they did it in the 2006 U.S. Senate race. They had to run it, and they did. But it seems to me they're in a relatively similar position here. Very tough to beat. House incumbents who are well-funded and working hard and doing their thing.
How much? Just to follow up, if you don't mind, how much does it depend on? Are the House races going to be pretty independent of the top of the ticket, or is a lot of it just going to depend on how McDonnell and McAuliffe promised to raise $75 billion for the entire ticket?
I mean, did you see his numbers today?
Not really.
Yeah, something around 4.5 million. I mean, a pretty nice fundraising effort, but it doesn't appear to be.
Yeah.
60, 75 million.
Regardless,
they told me from the beginning. I have to give them. I mean, McAuliffe camp told me from the beginning that number was hugely inflated.
Yeah.
They didn't think it was a correct number.
But do you think the House races will be decided independently, or is it going to be all wrapped up in?
I think they're more independent than state races. I think they're going to have some factors there, but the fact is that we've had Republicans who have hung on in Northern Virginia through all of this. Through a process that was really difficult for them, they've hung on. So my sense is the House races are going to be, by and large, independent races based on candidates, how well they run, how much money they raise, how many doors they knock on, and how active they've been in helping their constituents. I don't see a big statewide theme in the House races this year.
Are they going to be more competitive? Virginia is known for only having maybe 30 competitive races. Are there going to be more?
There are going to be more people involved. Now, how competitive they get, I don't know.
Yeah,
That's
more what I meant.
Yeah, I mean, the Democrats are running people against Bill Janus. They're running against John O'Bannon. That'd probably be the closest race that they have here. But in both of those areas, I think the Democrats are, heavy underdogs. I mean, I don't see how you can beat Bill Janus. And I really think, even though Tom Shields had been a student in the VCU program at one time and a good guy, he's in an uphill climb against John O'Bannon as well. My sense, to echo something that I think Chris said before, I think Republicans are pretty energized this year, too. I think they're eager. They think they can win. And I think they've tasted defeat, didn't like it, and are likely to work pretty hard. I mean, I think Bill Howell started developed his own group outside RPV, actually, to raise money. And has really dedicated himself to that. So, and as I said, beyond that, I'm not saying the Democrats can't win the governorship. I think they certainly can. But I don't think that this mood that is just sweeping toward the Democrats is going to continue in that vein. I don't see it this year. I see a more mixed point of view developing in Virginia.